So when you understand that there is a vibrational reality that is really who you are, and that vibrational reality that is really who you are is working on your behalf at all times, and then you relax and try to move in the direction of that, you're going to hear a lot today about how to line up with who you really are. You're going to come to the place of really knowing who you are, of really feeling who you are, and then you're already doing it, but even more, you're going to have the delicious experience of witnessing your thoughts turning to things, your thoughts turning to the things that you've been describing. And we like that when your thoughts turn to things. We really like it. Oh, nothing is more exhilarating than to be on the brink of those manifestations, and then to be in such a conscious state of awareness that you recognize it in all of its nuances as it unfolds into your experience. Oh, there's nothing more delicious than being out on the leading edge of thought. That's why you are out on the leading edge of thought. But you want to tend to the vibrations that aren't quite on the leading edge, because if you don't tend to the vibrations that aren't quite out on the leading edge, then you never get to experience the deliberate leading edge creation. Everybody's creating, and everybody's creating in a leading edge way. It's just that a lot of people are creating a lot of things that they don't wish to create. And we call that creating by default. We call that creating by default. So today here, we want you to know, this is important. Just take a minute and take this in. Your inner being knows where you stand in your physical body in relationship to everything that you want to be. Your inner being knows that where you want to be and where you are, and knows the path of least resistance for you to get there. Better words, the path of least resistance. The path where your resistance is. The path of least resistance. The path where the least resistance of yours is. The path that you are most likely to allow yourself to find what you want in spite of yourself. And in time, you won't be in the way. So things can still work out for you even though you are in the way. But, when you get out of your own way, by no longer being so aware of what is and being more ready to, here are the operative words, get out ahead of it. And what's it? Get out ahead of what has manifested, so that you're not holding what's coming to the standards of what's already manifested. Does that make sense to you? If you're so aware of what is, and what is produced a whole lot of more that you want, but you're so aware of what is, then even though source and the law of attraction and all that is in the process of bringing about what you've asked for, you don't let it happen. At least you don't let yourself be aware of it, because you're holding yourself in a frequency where you can't see it. So what you do as a deliberate creator is that you find a way to identify, isolate, calibrate your vibrational frequencies to what you want, so that it doesn't matter what you want is dominant, and what is will give way to what you want. That's how it works. What causes the giving way is what you're doing with your thoughts. And the way you know what you are doing with your thoughts is by being sensitive to the way you feel. There are two ways of knowing how you're doing in terms of your deliberate creation. One is you can be aware of your emotions, which are the indicators of the law of attraction's response to your inner being's request, and the law of attraction's response to your request. Never said it quite that way. So your inner being is requesting the abundance and the clarity and the love and the understanding that you want. And you are attracting whatever you're attracting in relationship to that, often the not enoughness, the unfairness, the injustice, whatever. And the way you feel is the relationship between those two. If you had not taken step one, which is to sift and sort and launch a rocket of desire, and if your inner being and all that is and source, along with the help of the law of attraction, was not gathering the cooperative components, then you could never feel negative emotion.
Good morning, Abraham.
It is.
First, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So natural, easy conversation. Why did we choose or source?
Can you hear?
Can you guys hear?
Is this better?
Really?
Why did we choose emotion as a form of communication?
You didn't choose emotion. Emotion is the response to vibrational frequencies. Jerry and Esther had a series of motor homes and motor coaches. They ended up in the last years with those 45-foot Prevost buses. But one of the early rigs that they were driving around, at 54 miles an hour, there was a vibration in the frame of the thing that just happened at 54 miles an hour. It was a sort of response to the way the frame was welded together and the speed of the tires, and it was steady and reliable. And Esther's driving and Jerry's in the back, and here's the reverberation, and Jerry yells 54 miles an hour, because it was always at 54 miles an hour that would happen. So it was a reverberation in response to some things that you would call physics of the world. Well, you have a physical being that is really a vibrational being. You are more vibration than anything else. So, as we said a few minutes ago, that your inner being, who is a large part of you, even though most people don't really know that, a large part of the vibrational beingness that is you, is this non-physical energy that vibrates at a specific frequency in a range that you would feel or call very different. It would be hard for your physicists and scientists to calibrate these high frequencies, because in your human world, all of your equipment is contoured to frequencies that have more resistance in them. So it would be hard for you to find a piece of equipment that could really calibrate or understand or even read the frequency of this non-physical being that is you. So as you do what we talked about earlier, step one, and you know what you don't want and therefore ask for what you do want, you launch this frequency from a body of resistance into an atmosphere of no resistance, where it is immediately calibrated into that high frequency. That's the best way of describing it easily. Where it is held in non-resistance, which means anytime something is held in non-resistance, it's an absolute certainty that it will manifest, because it is only the resistance that ever prevents anything from coming about. So your desire is held by your inner being in this state of non-resistance, but you still have an opinion or an attitude about it. So your inner being has a frequency about said subject, and you have a frequency about said subject. And the way those frequencies blend together is what equals whether you reverberate in your motorhome at 54 miles an hour. So sometimes the reverberation equals frustration. That's the way you translate it. Sometimes the reverberation equals ecstasy. When you are really in sync with your inner being, you are so close to the vibrational frequency of your inner being, and there is therefore so little perceived resistance, that that's when you feel some of those emotions. Why do the emotions come about? Because you are not only a vibrational being, you are a physical being, and the physicality of you means you're a chemical factory. So when this frequency meets this frequency, it produces this chemical that feels like frustration. When this frequency meets this frequency, it produces this chemical creation that feels like anger. When this frequency meets this frequency, it produces a vibration that produces a chemical that feels like love or security or well-being. So your emotions are your indicator of the mix of vibrational frequencies between you and you. Best question about emotions ever. Best answer about emotions ever. Vibrations and thoughts are turning to things, and since you live in a physical world, isn't it a nice thing that you have the guidance system? But it's not just a guidance system, it's a physical manifestation of the mixture of vibrations between the whole of who you are and the being that you are allowing yourself to be in any moment in time. As we had our experience with our friend here, you had the options of looking at it one way or the other, and the way you chose had a relationship with the way your inner being was choosing to do it. And the way your inner being was choosing to do it is the dominant vibration. In other words, your inner being is not ever going to join you in your vibration. If your inner being would find the same vibration that you've found about something, then there'd be no discord. Your emotion exists because of your harmony or disharmony with your inner being. But your inner being will never join you in a hateful thought. You're not ever going to feel good when you hate. Ever. Because your inner being's not ever going to join you. We used to use this example a lot. We say, if you saw someone on the street bleeding, we know you would go help them. But when you see someone flailing about in their discord and anger, often you don't want to go help them. You sort of want to get away from them, even though they really could use your help. Enough, or is there something more?
Yeah, you often say there's nothing serious going on here. Are you referring to our experience, physical experience here on planet Earth, or just day-to-day life? Because you're looking at it from a bigger picture of...
We're talking about all of it, but when we say here, we mean here where you are focused. And we usually say that when there is angst present, someone's worried about something. And what we mean when we say there's nothing serious going on is that we mean there isn't anything that you can't accomplish the way you want it. It's like this. We notice as we are aware of the vibrational relationship that someone, anyone, or a lot of, or all of you, mass consciousness is having between what you're focused upon in your physicalness and what your inner being is focused upon about the same subject. We notice that awareness of physical in the quest to fix something that's broken holds you in a place of discord that is unnecessary. But this is the piece that really gets to your question. The things that don't feel as important to you, you don't think about as much. And if you don't think about them as much, and your habit of thought is one of worry and pushing against, then if you don't think about it, things go better for you. So the things that feel easy to you or simple to you, you have less resistance about than the things that you really care about. It's the reason that we were offering you the story. It's as easy to create a castle as a button. The button just doesn't feel very important, so you have no resistance to it. The castle feels hard and out of reach, and so you introduce more resistance to a larger subject. And we were wanting you to put all the subjects in the same category: doable, havable, beable. You can be or do or have anything that you want, and one desire that you want is not less attainable than another just because you haven't done it yet, or maybe even because no one's done it yet. Because the laws of the universe are standard and simple and always apply to all things. When you want something and you focus upon it without resistance, it's going to come into your experience no matter what it is. And so that's what we mean by that.
Thank you. Okay, one more question. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's really, really good. You're really good at what you do.
You know why? It's not just that we know what we know. It's that we understand what you want to know right now about what we know. Because we know a lot more than you're asking for right now. There are a lot of you. It's that we know something about what you're asking about. But more important, we know where you are about it. That's what we meant by you're being called through your path of least resistance. And so it's easy for us to explain to you because we know where your pieces of resistance are, and we just don't go there. Also, you don't have much resistance.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So just last question. This entire universe, this has all been cooked up just so we can thrive?
You're cooking it up. Your thriving is you're cooking it up. Somebody else didn't cook it up and then send you over.